Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to continue talking about the Wheel of Fate, and this time I'm going to try to cover off the Specters which are in the game right now. Alright, so without further ado, I'm just going to go through them one by one. So I'm going to start off with Radamances. So Radamances have a Fatal Wheel with Scorpion Mirror and basically increase attacking speed after each attack for 6 seconds. I think it's a pretty good skill for both Mirror and also for Radamancer. For Radamancer, obviously because he relies on crit, etc. If you actually increase your attacking speed, then you're likely to crit more, etc. So it's generally good for him. For Mirror, it's also good because Mirror relies on hitting fast so that you can stack up the 15 Poison Needle, Scarlet Needle for that instant death. So both of them actually this skill will be quite helpful for both of them. My only concern is I don't think you would play them in the same team much, mainly because um, Mirror really Mirror is not a very good character most of the times. If you do play Mirror, because he is extremely fragile, you generally want four other characters who are able to protect him, so that he can actually kill off the enemy one by one, etc. Rather, Mensis is more like a DPS. So normally I wouldn't play a second DPS when you have Mirror already on your team. So I don't think you will play them much together, even though it is such a really good power of fate. So that's that one. Then Radamansis with Gemini Cannon. Every time you release a loop skill, increase 15% attack for 5 seconds. So for Radamansis, this is quite useful because one of his looping skill is actually rapid. I can't remember how many times, but basically he hits very fast and do consecutive attacks on one of the enemies, I believe. So this will obviously be very good for him because essentially you are gonna use that loop skill with attacking buff. For Gemini Cannon, it's also quite nice because I think Gemini Cannon have two looping skills, so it's more just that he would actually be able to activate this more often. So yeah, this is a pretty decent one as well. Would you play them both together? Um, I don't think there's any natural synergy between them because if you play Gemini Cannon, you normally want to trigger his meteorite style, so you want to play more control based teams. Rather, Minsec doesn't do that, but having said that, they're both Light and Dark characters, so they're both very strong characters by themselves. So definitely don't see any reason why you can't play both of them together. So yeah, so this has come my thought on Rather Minsec. Alright, now if we move on to the next character, Pandora doesn't have any Niobe. So for Niobe, the first one is going to be with Rosada Baron. When the HP drop below 35 for the first time in the battle, restores 60% defense bonus immediately for 6 seconds. I don't think this is very useful at all. For Aldebaran, it's not bad because when his HP drop, you want him to have a slightly higher defense because then when he actually do his counter attack, he can then get HP back. So it can potentially protect him briefly. But for Niobe, it's absolutely useless because Niobe, I think like he goes into like a dodging mode when his HP drop below a certain threshold. So this is kind of just wasted because he already disappeared. He is already hidden away trying to dodge the attack. Why would you want to increase his defense? So yeah, so I don't think this is a very useful power of fate. Then if we move on to the next one with Zelos, decrease all ultimate skill damage taken in battle by 24%. This is good. This is actually a really good one. First of all, ultimate skill, that's normally the most, the damage that's going to hurt the most. You're going to decrease all of them by 24%. That's actually really nice. It's not just for one time as well, which I think is even better. It's good for Niobe because obviously Niobe relies on poison damage over time, so the longer he stays, the better it is. It's also good for Zelos because Zelos kind of need time for his mucus cover. I think that's what it's called to kind of stack up as well, to get all of that extra buff, etc. So yeah, so I think this is very good. It can make the battle goes on a bit longer, which is advantageous to both of them. Would you play them together? Probably, yeah. I mean, the Obi you would normally almost certainly you want to play damage over time team, most likely a poison team. If you do have a poison team, normally you will have Aphrodite up front. Zeros is able to protect the other front row ally. So if you do play Aphrodite and Zeros upfront, it's not a bad combo either. So yeah, so I do actually say this is one of the better ones I've seen so far. So in terms of like its actual application in a real team formation, so definitely keep an eye on this one. I think it's possibly one of the ones that's worth leveling up. Okay, next one we have Niobe and Mu. Increase damage of ultimate skills by 24%. Um, I don't think this is very good. Niobe, like I said, relies on damage over time, and especially when you have Aphrodite, most of the damage you're going to do is more coming from poison. Mu is a supporter. You don't need ultimate damage either. So yeah, so I don't think this is a very good uh, pairing. So power fate between them two. So yeah, so no point leveling this one up. So that's Niobe. Next one we have one of the latest character, Karen. Karen have one with Sagittarius Seiya. Restore 24% of lost HP every 6 seconds in battle. That is it's not bad for Karen, but you won't play him much. And similarly for Sagittarius Seiya, actually no, this is a bad one because for Sagittarius Seiya you definitely don't need this. Sagittarius Seiya goes for a high damage burst teams where you try to close off the battle in the first 10 seconds, 15 seconds or so. So this wouldn't really do much because this is more for kind of like a long battle, right? You want to consistently restore HP, etc., which is definitely not what Sagittarius is for. So yeah, so I wouldn't bother leveling this up, and you probably wouldn't play them two together anyway because Sagittarius like I said, relies on a burst team, so you normally play with like Vergoshin, Hound Asterion, Sirius, etc., the ones who are able to give a buff. So yeah, I don't see any synergy with Charon at all. So ignore that one. Then we have one with Niobe. Gains attack and defense bonus by 9 seconds for each ally alive in the battle. This is not bad. This is actually pretty good. And the reason why it's pretty good is first of all, uh, Niobe, like I said earlier, he relies on damage over time, so the longer he stays, the better it is. Normally, because you also have Aphrodite on the team, you would actually do want to. Oh, this is only going to be applied on Niobe and Charon, though. Hmm. But yeah, so my thought before was that Niobe is obviously relies on damage over time, so extra defense and also extra attack, which his poison scales based on. That's actually really good, and especially at the beginning of the battle when you have 45. When you have all five allies alive, that's like 45% extra. So that greatly increases survivability up front. Um, and for Charon, he is. Oh, to be honest, he's just a bad character. Like my gut feeling is this power fade is actually not bad, especially if you actually want to build a team around the Obi. But Charon is just such a bad character. I am actually trying to think whether you actually play them together. Especially if you play Niobe, the best team would be for a poison team. And to be honest, in a standard poison team, you can't have Moses, you have Mermaid Tetas, you have Aphrodite, you have Niobe. So there's only one spot left. And either you can go for someone like Zeros, who can protect Aphrodite even better, or you probably want to go for healer. Basically, you want to protect Aphrodite better. And the annoying thing with this is that Charon doesn't do that. He only protects himself well, and this even though it gains attack and defense bonus by 9% for extra for each ally alive, is good. This is only going to protect Niobe and Charon as well. So therefore, Aphrodite is still going to be left by himself. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think the power fade is not bad. It's just that I'm not sure whether you would actually be able to use this in real life. So this will come also on this one. The next one we move on to. Oops, went a bit too fast. Self-assured. So the first one is going to be with Liberadoco. So after damage received in battle reaches 80% max HP for the first time, it will recover 30% of max HP within 3 seconds. Um, absolutely useless for Libradoko because Libradoko protect himself so well that I don't think he needs any extra protection. But this is actually not bad on Surplus Shield because Surplus Shield actually sacrificed his own HP in order to put up his crystal wall, etc. And you really want to avoid Surplus Shield just kind of killing himself by sacrificing HP all the way. So having this way of actually restoring HP a bit is not actually bad. So I do think this is a decent one. Would you play them together? Maybe. I mean, Liverpool is hard to put in a team anyway because he kind of just play by himself. I mean, he is a good character by himself, but it's just hard to think of team synergy. And similarly, Circle of Shown is kind of a character like more like utility in order to protect opening attacks. So I definitely can see reasons why you played them together because they're both really good characters by themselves or for different use cases. But I probably wouldn't specifically build a team around them too. So yeah, I think this is not a bad one, but probably not going to be your priority to level up. Then we have with Evil Sega. The damage of the first ultimate skill released in battle increased by 30%. Absolutely useful for surplus shield. Oh, actually, no, it's not bad for surplus shield because surplus shield doesn't absorb HP with his ultimate. Actually, that's not bad. For Evil Sega, it's also good because Evil Sega is strongest at the start of battle, so his first ultimate is likely going to be the strongest ultimate. So if you're able to increase the damage output even further, then yeah, I think this is a good one. Would you play them together? I think if you do want to play Evil Sega, because he is somewhat fragile, you normally do want to play it more of like a traditional protection knight, like a Synagogue's War Circus Shun. So if you do want to build a team around Evil Sega, Shun is probably going to be quite likely won't be one of the teammates. So yeah, I think this is actually a pretty useful one to level up if you do want to play Evil Sega. Then we move on to this one. So this one is the uh, Athena exclamation trio. So basically, what you can actually do is that if you have the surplus version of all three of them, it's actually going to be really nice because you decrease the Cosmo required to release the Ultimate, and then therefore you can get this really cool EX move released much earlier. Right, really good for animation. If you have paid the money for those surplus skins, then this is almost like a must-have for you to level up. And in practice, I think this is good as well because normally a lot of time, what happens is that attack is super powerful because it ignores defense, it also stuns. But your uh, Aquarius Camus and also Capricorn Sure is normally a bit too fragile. So normally the biggest problem of actually releasing the Athena exclamation is actually the fact that your Aquarius Camus or Capricorn Sure dies before your Cosmos charged up. Now, if you're actually able to decrease how much Cosmos is required to release the ultimate, and on top of that, because you have Surplus Shun, who's able to put up that crystal wall for the first few seconds in the battle, this is actually going to be a really good way for you to almost guarantee that you're able to release your ultimate. So I definitely think this is a really useful one. So if you do have the surplus version of this characters, then definitely go for it. I think it's one of the nice ones to level up. Alright, so this is going to be surplus Shun. Then we have Papillon Mule. Papillon Mule, the first one is with Pandora. Increase 60% defense within 6 seconds after battle starts. Um, I think this is good. Increase. I mean, I'm not sure whether I'm reading this correctly, but it sounds to me it's saying that the first 6 seconds you're gonna get increased defense, rather than 6 seconds later you don't have increased defense. And the reason why I think this is not bad is because Pandora is actually somewhat fragile. I know like Papillon Mule because of his passive is not too bad, but later on in the game, especially in the Chinese version of the game already, there are certain characters who are able to essentially nullify a character's passive or trigger effects, etc. So in which case, then your Papillon Mule is then at risk of being killed off before he awakens, etc. So having this ability to actually increase defense at the start, I think is actually pretty good. So if you do have those two characters and plan to play them, this is not a bad one for you to do. Next one was Got Close Shura. Got Close Shuru. Um, every time you release a loop skill, increase attack and hit rate by 12%. I'm not a great fan of this purely because first of all, one is a tank, the other one's a supporter. I don't really see why you, even though they do have some loop skills, like nice loop skills, I don't really see why you need want to increase the attack of a tank and also supporter. It's just not going to be the best way of you actually trying to do damage. So this is probably going to be a skip for me. Um, then you have this one, which is with Moo. Increase attack and crit rate by 15%. Yeah, once again, I mean, they're both really good characters, so I can definitely see them being played together, but why would you want to increase the attack and crit rate for two support characters? It's just a bit weird. So yeah, so this is going to be low on my priority as well. So that's Papillon Mule. And now we have Zeros. Zeros, the first one is, I think this is Aquarius Hugo? Yeah, I think this is Aquarius Hugo. So you increase 15% damage dealt to enemies in a negative state. I'm guessing negative state means you're on the debuff, etc. I think translation is not great here. Increase 15% damage dealt to enemies with debuffs. Um, it's hard for me to comment on this because I don't actually know what negative state is, unfortunately. If it means debuff, then I'm not too sure about this. But if it actually means control effect, then that would be actually really good because across Hugo is obviously going to be played in a freeze team, etc. And therefore there'll be loads of controls. So it really depends on how they translate this and exactly what a negative state means. So yeah, so I'm gonna reserve my verdict on this until I figure out exactly what's a negative state. Now Zeros with Radamansis increased damage bonus and damage reduction plus 3% for every crit hit dealt or taken and be set to 15 times. And there's no cooldown. It doesn't go away either. This could actually be really nice for Radamancer because obviously Radamancer do loads of crit. So if you're actually able to do this, your Radamancer can potentially stack up, all 15 times of this buff really quickly. So I think this is going to be really good for Radamansis. I'm not sure this will be any good for Zeros. I mean, Zeros doesn't have any natural synergy with crit, so I don't think he would be able to stack this up much. But if you're able to stack it up fast for Radamansis, then I think it is nice. So definitely, I think this is a good one. Would you play these two characters together? Maybe. Maybe. I think it's possible. Once again, it's one of those cases where I don't see any natural synergy between them, so I can't really say you would definitely play them together. But at the same time, the two characters are a bit of an all-rounder. Like you have Radamansis, who's a good character because he's light and dark, obviously, and he's very self-sufficient. Like, he has a really full kit where he's able to do kind of damage reduction and lots of attack to kind of both to do offensive and also defensive moves all together in one. So he's really self-sufficient. You can almost slot him in anywhere. And then with Zelos is that because Zelos is able to protect the other front row ally, you like there's loads of teams where you need to protect the other front row ally. For example, if you have say a God Close, if you have Poseidon, you almost always want to play them up front. Or Aphrodite or Gemini Cannon. There are just so many different characters who could be benefited from Zelos that makes Zelos quite a useful character by himself as well. So yeah, for this one, I think the power of fate is really good for Radamansis, and because the two characters are both fairly useful and quite all rounded, where you can quite freely slot them into various different teams. I think this is a good one for you to keep an eye out. I think if you're definitely, if you're a great fan of Radamansis and really want to build a team around him, then I think this Power Fate skill is just really good that you should really consider leveling this up. All right, so that is Zelos. Next, we'll move on to Sorrento. All right, so that's all of the Specters done for today. So yeah, thank you for watching this video, and next time I'm going to try to cover off the marinas.